Now it's time to work on that inner core just a little bit more. So what I'm going to get you to do is stretch your body out onto the floor, onto your mat. Make sure that we have our Fab 3 on, our elevator, lifting, cling wrap, and sandwich press. Hands on hips to start with. I want you to squeeze and lengthen your legs out away from your body so there's always that stretch going on. Now as we exhale, you're going to keep your tummy firm, drag your right heel along the floor, nice and gentle, and you're going to lift the knee up and let it come in towards you without changing or shifting your hips. So if you've just lifted your knee up and then your hips and your lower back have crunched into the floor, we've actually lost our sandwich press, lost our cling wrap and elevator. So we really need to be mindful of that. So let's try it again just to make sure you've got the hang of it. Bringing that knee up. Keep this stable. So the hands are here for a reason, to remind you that you're not allowed to move your hip bones or sink your lower back into the floor. We want a bit of space underneath there. Good. Now we're going to elevate that leg straight up. Keep the other leg firmly anchored to the floor and slowly start to move that leg towards the floor. Again, making sure that we're not arching or dropping our lower back into the floor at all. So stability is the key here. Gently move the leg down. It's quite tough because what you're doing is resisting the air on the way up. And push through the air, resist the air on the way down. Let's do 2 more. So I'm pretending that I'm pushing through something firm like water. It would be quite hard to push your leg through water, wouldn't it? So I want you to keep that in mind as we do this. Meanwhile, the core is locked in position. We're not shifting anything around. And take that leg all the way down. Let's do the other side. Take a breath. Gently bring it up. Slowly keep that hip stability. And bring the knee up. Remember, only come as far as you can without dropping into your lower back. Elevate up towards the ceiling. You can keep your knee soft, that's fine. And slowly lower. Press down through the air. Keep this in place. Where's that Breville? Where's that sandwich press? And bring it back up using those inner core muscles. You should feel a lot of stuff happening, even a little bit of a tiny shake. Not too much yet, but you are definitely working those stabilizing muscles. Just be mindful that you're not flinging your leg, okay? It's not a kick. You've got to really stay strong like you're pushing through the air. Good. And we'll do 1 more. Hard work. Excellent. Now let's try a double leg lower, which is a lot tougher. So if that went well for you, you're going to bring one leg up and then the other. Again, making sure our Breville is on, cling wrap is on. Now the legs don't have to be perfectly straight here. The knees can be bent. So let's start to move the legs down just a fraction. This is only going to be a small movement because if you go too far, look what happens. You're moving and just swinging around through the hips. That's not Pilates. That's not what we're aiming for. We're aiming for a nice even balance through our weight distribution so that you can get strong and firm on those abs and of course your back muscles nice and strong. Gently move it down. So the point where you start to shake or the point where you feel that your back is going to arch, that's where you need to stop and then return the legs back up. Hard work. You should feel your obliques starting to work as well. The muscles at the sides. 2 more. Good. And slowly bring those legs down, one at a time always. Never collapse everything to the floor. Keep that control and precision that we spoke about before. Now stretching the legs out. I will just make a note on that previous exercise too. If you find it a little straining on the back, you can simply stick to the single leg instead of both legs. Moving on now to our third exercise. Traditionally, you may know of a crunch or an abdominal curl up. What I want you to remember here though is this may be a little bit different to what you've learnt, but what we're keeping in mind is spine safety. We're doing everything with integrity to make sure that we're not damaging ourselves as we do the movement. So I want you to keep in mind that the space here between your hips and your ribs needs to stay open. Normally when you do a crunch, you might shorten that gap, and it's quite easy to come up because you're using your neck and some of these other muscles. You're shortening that space. In our Pilates ab curl or chest lift, you need to keep the space open between the hips and ribs. So essentially the body is lengthened again. You've got your elevator on. Let's do our Fab 3 elevator, revel, cling wrap, nice and firm. And all I want you to do is lift maybe 1 or 2 centimeters at most, elevating the chest up towards the ceiling. Just to here. And then back down. Count to 3 and then return. Let's do 8 more of these. Now already I can feel that working. I'm not moving very much, but because everything is long and I'm not bending, which is quite easy, you could do lots of those, we want to lengthen back and elevate. And the hands are here for a reason. Remember, hands on hips and ribs. You want to make sure this gap doesn't shorten. Probably best if you exhale as you come up so everything tightens in. Let's do a few more. I'm certainly shaking. If you are, then you're doing the right thing. Now you may feel a little bit in your neck. That's because we're strengthening and waking up those deep neck muscles. They need to become strong as well. And one more. Good, and take a breath.